Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another review of Married at First Sight, Season 11, Episode 8, You Can Get Out of This. So, let's start with Olivia and Brett. So, Olivia meets up with her friend and she tells her friend about the issues that she had with Brett on their honeymoon. Number one, she talked about how Brett kind of blew up when he was asked to rate their marriage. And number two, she also talks about how Brett, they're kind of like not on the same page as far as finances. And Brett believes that, she doesn't know how to budget, and how they budget differently. Okay, he doesn't like how she budgets because she factors in a lot of money for having fun, and Brett is kind of like, once all the important stuff is taken care of, like your bills and stuff, your rent, your mortgage, whatever, the rest of it needs to go into some kind of a savings. He doesn't believe in splurging, having fun with your money, enjoying your money while you're still living. He keeps talking about, building wealth and all of this stuff so he can have some huge nest egg when he's old, when he's basically too old to enjoy anything. And so she tells her friend that, I don't want to be financially controlled because we're so different with money. I don't want to feel like, I have to watch every penny, because of him. He meets up with his friend, and his friend asked him, I forgot what his friend asked him, but Brett basically told his friend that he kind of sees some red flags in the marriage. And he talks about the fact that Olivia cannot budget. I never got the impression that Olivia did not know how to budget or couldn't budget. I just got the impression that, I think in Brett's mind, he says that she doesn't know how to budget because she doesn't put savings, I guess, as her top priorities. Her top priority is taking care of all the bills and then having fun. And I'm pretty sure she's got money put away in savings, and that she's also, thinking about her future. And I'm wondering if his real issue is not the fact that she doesn't budget or doesn't budget like him. I wonder if his real issue is that she makes more than him. I'm wondering if that's the real issue, but he doesn't want to express that because, whatever, he doesn't want to express it, so he's going to use this whole budget thing as to kind of like I don't know, beat her down with it or something. So that's Brett and Olivia. Now let's go on to, now there was a big get together with all the couples, and I'm trying to figure out where I should talk about that because I want to kind of get it out of the way. You know what? Let's go on. So we move on to Amelia and Bennett. Bennett meets with his friend, and their main conversation was about the possibility of leaving New Orleans. I was surprised that Bennett told his friend that he's really much open to moving with Amelia if it comes down to that. He's perfectly okay with that. And he said that because he's really serious about his marriage, he's really into Amelia, and he really wants to make this work out with them. And his friend was, kind of disappointed because I guess in their group of friends, Bennett is like an integral part of the friendship or of the group. And I can see, because he's such a likable guy, I can see, a lot of people really liking Bennett and being attached to Bennett. And so when he said that he's willing to move to wherever Amelia takes him, the friend was kind of bummed out about that. She was a little bit disappointed about that. And now, did Amelia meet with the friend? Yeah, she did meet with her friend, and she told her friend that, she's really into Bennett. He's really into her, and she's really into him. She's impressed with him, with how he is, his creativity, the fact that he built his own little house. She loves that. There's an attraction there between them. So, things are working out just fine with Amelia and Bennett. Then we go to Christina and Henry. Once again, Christina and Henry take up a lot of page space in my notebook. So there's another awkward interaction with production. I think it was when, so what were they doing? I forgot what they were doing exactly. But they were in the kitchen, I think. And Amelia's, not Amelia, what's her name? Christina's trying to have a conversation with him. And of course, it's like pulling teeth with Henry. And I I forgot how it started, but she talked about how she had bought all the groceries and he didn't thank her, or he didn't show any appreciation for buying the groceries. And then, let me read my notes. Henry. I forgot what it was. So anyway, so they talk about how she bought the groceries, but she's upset that Henry didn't show any kind of appreciation. And he says, I did thank you for buying the groceries. And she says, no, you didn't. They go back and forth on that. And then he says, well, what about the $70 dinner that we had? You know, we're going to a, what did you call it? A 5-star restaurant. Something about a high Michelin restaurant or something. And, you know, I didn't hear you say thank you. And Christina said, yes, I did thank you for dinner. And so they're going back about who thanked who for what, which is so petty and so stupid. Y'all are in a marriage, and y'all are going to do things for each other. And I just think that it's kind of petty to expect a thank you every single time your husband takes out the trash, every single time your wife, you know, cooks, to say, I mean, it's just dumb. You know, you can show appreciation, definitely, but for you to keep track with, did you say thank you? Did I say thank you? Did you say thank you? Did you thank me for this? Man, y'all are in a marriage. Stop it. Y'all can't be thanking each other over every little tiny thing. You definitely need to show appreciation, you know, for your partner. And you show that by saying thank you, or by doing something for them, or when they cook dinner, saying, wow, this is really delicious. You know, I'm glad that you took, you know, the time out to make this, or whatever. You don't always have to keep tabs on who did what and who said thank you. That was a really dumb argument. And somewhere during this time, they're just kind of standing there awkwardly. And Christina turns over to production and she says something like, okay, you know, this wasn't going to be a long recording or a long filming, and y'all are still here, or something like that. And the producer said, well, yeah, it was only going to be like a 15-minute shoot. And she's like, okay, you know, are y'all leaving now? And so this frustrates Henry whenever she butts heads with production, because it seems like she was getting impatient. This was like a perfect example of Christina being impatient, because she was like, okay, y'all need to leave. It seemed like she didn't say this, but it seemed like she was trying to be like, okay, y'all have got the footage that y'all needed, you know, are y'all leaving now? And Henry doesn't like that. You know, that she gets, you know, impatient, and she has to always have these arguments with production. It's like a big problem for him, as it would be for anybody. And I'm just surprised that they're willing to air this. She must have really pissed off production for them to show her, you know, in the most bitchiest moments with them. She must have really made them mad. Let's move on to Amani and Woody. So Amani, you know, they wake up in the morning. Woody makes breakfast, and which is really sweet. He surprises her with flowers, and he basically just, you know, fawns all over her and tells her, you know, how he's into her and how much he likes her and how he's falling for her. And, you know, it seems like, you know, Amani's digging it. Amani's liking it, definitely. We move on to Karen and Miles. Now they're having a conversation, and Miles tells Karen that he really needs words of affirmation. He needs her to express herself more. If there's something about him that she's digging, that she likes, that she appreciates, he wants her to express it. Because he gave an example of when Pastor Cal had come over, she had told Pastor Cal that she found him attractive. And he said, I never would have known that, you know, but for Pastor Cal asking you, I never would have known that's how you felt about me. And so I need more of that. You know, he needs more words of affirmation. And that was a very adult, mature conversation, because she then says, I acknowledge that, you know, that I need to work on that. I need to be more expressive, that's just not really, you know, in my nature to be that way. But she sees how he wants it and how he needs it. And so she said that she's willing to work on that and expressing herself more. That was a very mature conversation, you know, instead of just her blowing up saying something like, well, that's just not how I am, and I don't do stuff like that. And for him, coming at her all wrong, saying things like, I can't believe you didn't tell me that you're attracted to me. And I had to hear from Pastor Cal, and Pastor Cal has to be the one to take it out from, get that out of you. They had a very mature conversation. He expressed his concern. She acknowledged it. She says, okay, I'll work on it. And the day is over. So that was really nice. I really like that. Now, let's go to this boys and girls meeting. So they all get together. All the girls get together separately, and all the boys get together. So all the girls meet up at a restaurant. Not really much happened here. I just need to mention it because it happened in the show. But Christina talked about, Henry's lack of contribution. She says that she does everything in the house. She buys all the groceries. She does all the cooking. She tries to initiate all the conversation. She's always the one asking him all the questions, and that he needs to meet her halfway and contribute more, which is definitely true. I don't know about buying all the groceries and stuff, but definitely he does need to be more expressive, ask her more questions, really try to make an effort to get to, I don't know what's wrong with Henry. Christina also talks about how she is ready for intimacy, but she will not be the one to initiate it, because that's definitely not something that she's going to do. That's just not in her nature. And he's not initiating anything. And of course, she talks about how she needs someone to be take charge, more aggressive. And then Karen shares a little secret with Amelia. She tells Amelia, she didn't tell anyone else this, but when her and Amelia were alone together, Karen tells Amelia that, her and Miles shared their first kiss. And it went nicely. It was good. Now, on the boys' side, Brett complains about Olivia's budgeting or lack of budgeting to the boys. And Henry said that he made the awful mistake of telling Christina that she was high maintenance. And all the guys were like, that was horrible. You never, ever, ever tell a woman that she's high maintenance. Okay, so that was the boys and girls meeting up with each other. Got that out of the way. Okay, so after that, Olivia and Brett have a meeting about budgeting. This was also showed how mature Olivia was, because even though she likes to splurge, she says she works really hard for her money and she wants to enjoy her money while she's still living. So she is willing to compromise and to kind of cut down on the spending, because when they were talking about budgeting, Brett pulls out his spreadsheet and they go through all the stuff that they spend on and whatever. And she says that he said that he would normally spend like $120 going out to eat. She says she would normally spend like maybe $500 going out to eat in a month. And so she says that she was willing to, tone it down a little bit. He likes to cook, I guess. So she's, we can do more cooking at home. I don't have to go out as much because we can cook more at home. And instead of, doing expensive activities, we can do like going to the zoo or going to the museum or whatever. So that just shows that she's willing to tone it down a little bit. But I know that, when you're making as much money as she is, she's a nurse practitioner. And I didn't know the difference between like a registered nurse and a nurse practitioner and all this other stuff. I didn't know. But come to find out, a nurse practitioner can actually write out prescription. So I know when I heard that, I was like, yeah, this girl is making really good money. And I'm thinking, I don't know how bad she splurges. I don't think she's an idiot. I think that she definitely is mindful of how she spends her money. So I don't think that she should tone it down. I mean, if you have the money, everybody would love to travel and experience life and do different things. I would love to see every single state in the United States, all 50 states. I would love to, and of course to travel abroad. If you have the money to do that, you should do that. And I think Olivia is someone who can do stuff like that and still take care of business and still put money away for savings. So I hope that, because if she's going to be tied down, because she already complained to, I think when they had the housewarming party, she already told one of her friends that life is kind of getting mundane for them. They go to work, they come home, and then, they just kind of sit around at the house. She says she wants to experience life. She wants to live life. She's not, she doesn't have kids. She makes good money. She's young. She's physically able. She wants to experience life. So already it seems like, things are kind of getting boring and stale for them. So I hope that kind of changes. And at the house party, yeah, that was basically the main part when they had their house party, and all their friends came over. That was basically it. Her telling her friend that, it's kind of like, we don't really do much, and she doesn't want to live the rest of her life being a couch potato and just going to the gym and then coming home and that's it, and working. She wants to enjoy her life, and I hope that it would make more sense that Brett would be willing to meet, to be up on her level. Like, now you have a partner who can allow you to do those kind of things that you couldn't do before because you're really tight with your money. Now you have someone where you can kind of, you have a little bit more wiggle room with your finances. It would make more sense for him to come up to her level, and instead of her coming down to his level where they don't do anything at all, but just work, save. And now you're 50, now you're like 70, 80 years old, and you can't really enjoy your money. It's just sitting there. They don't want to have kids. So there's not even children that you can give the money to or anything. Anyways, so yeah. And one more thing I wanted to say about Olivia and Brett. I forgot. Okay, Amelia and Bennett, their housewarming party was really nice. All their friends came over. Now, before their friends came over, they wanted their friends to make a mural. I think it's called a mural, where their friends are going to be able to paint it, decorate it, or whatever, and it can be like a memento of this whole experience. And so, and of their friends, of course. And so, they cut out this big piece of cloth, and when their friends come over, everybody paints and decorates and puts stuff on it. And then when they put it up on their wall the next day, after it dried, it looked really good. It really represented Amelia and Bennett and their whole aesthetic and their whole style. I absolutely love that. Amelia and Bennett's housewarming party, it went fine. They talked to each other's friends and whatnot. It was great. It was really great. They are just made in heaven. Christina and Henry. Now, after they had the meeting with the girls and boys meeting, when they came back from all of that, it seemed like Christina was trying to apologize to Henry about her behavior with production and her attitude towards him that day. So she kind of was giving a half-hearted apology about that, and he was just like, yeah, okay. He didn't apologize for anything that he did. So at their house party, it was a bit awkward because the girls that came, Henry's friends that came, which were the friends that were not really feeling this whole experience for him, they just it wasn't a fun party. It was a really awkward party. They played games. I think they played, it wasn't Truth or Dare. Would You Rather. They played Would You Rather. And what's her name? Christina was trying to get into it. I think she had a friend there, a male friend. He was trying to keep things hype and going, but it was just dead. That party was just dead. And when Christina had a chance to talk to one of Henry's friends, this is the friend that did not see it for Christina or this marriage or this show or this experience. She didn't like it at all. She didn't like this. She didn't believe in this. So she's sitting there talking to Christina, and Christina's expressing her frustrations with Henry in a really polite way. She's not dogging him out, but she is expressing that there are some issues here with him being more expressive of himself and taking charge and stuff like that. And so the friend defends Henry and says, well, it takes a long time for him to warm up. Even within our group of friends, it took him a long time to open up with us and to warm up to us. And she said, but I will tell you this about Henry, is that he got me through one of the most difficult times of my life. When she had lost her sister, she said that Henry was really there for her and got her through that pain. And no one doubts that Henry is sweet and kind and caring. No one doubts that. Obviously he is. But does it take Christina losing a family member for him to be there for her? Does it take something drastic like that for him to come out of his shell? I don't understand how someone who is so introverted, so reserved, so shy, how one day they just decided to get on a show like this and marry a stranger and live with a stranger. I just don't understand. Why didn't you just stay home, Henry? Why didn't you just stay in your regular life doing the stuff that you're comfortable with, instead of, I don't know if you're trying to get out of your comfort zone and you thought this was the best way to do it. But the thing about marriage, you have to kind of like do things that you really don't want to do to make the marriage work. Like if you're not really talkative or communicative, you have to become that way. If you're someone who just likes to fly off the handle and, let your emotions out and be angry whenever you feel like it, you can't do that anymore. So if your spouse doesn't like it, you can't do that anymore. You have to kind of change things, not change who you are, but do things that you normally would not do, because there's someone else involved. There's someone else whose feelings you have to consider. So I don't know I think Henry is trying, but he moves at such a slow rate that we don't have time for you to take 15 years to get to the point where you're more expressive with your wife. It's just not that kind of party, Henry. So I'm just not understanding why he would choose to do something like this, but be so unwilling to meet Christina halfway. I mean, every single time we see these people, she is trying to get him to talk more, be more expressive. And it's just like, I guess he's trying, but it's just, I don't think he's trying hard enough. I think there's something like mentally wrong where like he can't be any more social than what he is. And at the housewarming party, he was talking to her friends, because, they all did that exchange where they kind of had some time to conversate with their partner's friends. And Henry's talking to Christina's friends, and I don't know if it was at that point, but I think it was at that time. But someone had brought up how he doesn't make eye contact. And he said that, or was that Christina that asked him that? Somebody asked him about the eye contact thing, because I had seen that I've noticed, watching the show, that he does not make any kind of eye contact at all. He really tries to avoid it. And so he said that he has an issue with making eye contact. There's like an issue there. He can't make eye contact with people. So I know there is something going on with Henry that prevents him from being comfortable around other people. And yes, we understand that once he gets to know you and he feels more comfortable, I guess he's more expressive. But it's just gonna, if it's gonna take a tragedy or years for him to be to that point, that he doesn't need to be on this show. He doesn't need to be married at first sight. He does not need to be married at first sight. He needs to go on and find another woman and date her for 10 years before he feels comfortable enough to marry her and stuff like that. But he does not need to be. Anyways, so after all of that, there's another awkward moment with, I said awkward what? I can't even read my own writing. Oh, another awkward dinner. So after all of that, I don't know if it was the next day or whatever, they're making dinner. Henry and Christina, they're having dinner. And she's asking him, she's trying to get him to talk more. And so she says to him, something about, can you share like a childhood memory or a childhood experience or something like that? And he says something very generic, like, yeah, there were times when me and my brothers didn't get along. Okay, that goes without saying for anybody and everybody. And she was like, okay, that's the best you have. That's the best childhood story that you have. And then he says something like, well, tell me something about, oh, no, he didn't say anything at all. So they're kind of just sitting there awkwardly. And then he says, then she said, no, she has to pull it out of him. She says, well, Henry, do you have anything to ask me? And Henry goes, well, what are the favorite meals your mom used to cook for you? And then she kind of blows him off and says, oh, there are so many, I can't pick one. And then he says, well, okay, you don't have to pick your most favorite. Can you pick one of your favorites? And she really didn't give an answer. And so then we fall back into awkward silence. And then she gets frustrated with him. She's like, look, Henry, you need to meet me halfway. And no, and then she turns to the producers and she's like, do you have a list of questions that I can ask him, because he's not giving me anything? And they're like, nope. And so then she tells Henry, you need to meet me halfway. I'm doing everything. I'm always the one that's trying to think of things to talk about, think of things to do. I'm the one making all the decisions for us. You need to meet me halfway. And he says, he mumbles something, and it's just not working out. And then he basically has to leave. He's like, you know what, I'm getting kind of frustrated. So he leaves. And I'm like, can y'all just end this? Can y'all please just end this now? These people are not compatible. They are not compatible. I don't know who or what Henry can be compatible with. I am not shaming him for the way that he is, how he is. Just that who he is not working in this experiment, and it's not working with this woman at all. We need to just end it. Henry, Christina, just end it. Okay, so Amani and Woody, after the housewarming party, at the housewarming party, everything was fine. Everything was great. Their friends came over. They played Never Have I Ever. Everyone's having a great time. Nothing is awkward. And when they separate, Amani tells the girls, when they separate girls and guys, Amani tells the girls, that how much she likes Woody and everything is going really wonderful. And I think one of his friends had said that she was kind of worried of whether or not it was going to work out. And then Amani was like, how do you mean? And she says, well, because we're used to single Woody. We're used to, spontaneous Woody. At 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, we can call him up. Hey, let's go do this. And he can, and he meets us up and, just whatever. Single, fun Woody. And now he's married and, we have to realize that he's not like that anymore. He's a married man. And, but we're happy for him. And everybody basically said that they can tell that Woody is really into him. So the boys, they said that one of his friends said specifically that he can definitely tell that Woody is falling for Amani, and that, it's like genuine. He genuinely likes this woman. He really, really likes Amani. And when he was talking to the boys, he was telling the boys about the trip to Mexico and how they consummated the marriage, and they did all kind of fun, intimate things. And he didn't give too much detail because that's his wife, and you can't give too much detail to your boys about what's going on with your wife. So he basically told them that they consummated the marriage 98 hours after they got married. Woody was counting it down. So Karen and Miles, we talked about the words of affirmation. So after the meeting with the other couples, they have their housewarming party, and Karen's friend tells Miles that Karen likes a take charge kind of guy. She likes a guy to be in charge. Like Miles' friend tells Karen that he's just not going to be that guy, to be aggressive and in charge, and it's going to be, we're going to, just kind of really take charge kind of guy. That he's really into, what do you want to do? What makes you happy? I'll do whatever makes you happy kind of guy. He's one of those. He's a pleaser. And it was his sister that told Karen that. His sister said, Miles is a pleaser. He's very much into making sure that you're good, that you're happy. He's a pleaser. And I really don't see him changing into this, macho kind of guy. And the sister asked Karen, you're more into more traditional roles, right? And Karen said that she was. But I think that with them, I kind of didn't have any hope for them. But I kind of see Karen warming up to him. And maybe it's all going to work out for the better, because when we saw the snippets of next week's episode, and I know the show does this on purpose to kind of take you on a roller coaster. The couples that you think was really strong, they're going to start showing you cracks. And the couples that you thought were kind of weak, they're going to start showing you strengths. So, of course, we're going to probably see some cracks with Woody and Amani, where next week it says that Amani is going to tell Woody that she's really not, she's not falling for him at the same rate that he's falling for her. And that's kind of, I'm kind of scared about that. And then I didn't have much faith and hope in Miles and Karen. I thought Karen probably just really wasn't feeling him, but it seems like she's kind of warming up to him, kind of proving me wrong. I want everybody who I did not have faith in, I want all of them to prove me wrong. I want everybody to work out. Maybe Olivia and Brett, I don't know, but I want mostly everybody to say, I want to be married, I want to stay with my spouse at the end of all of this, because I like everybody and I want everybody to win. Okay. Oh, and then Christina and Brett, maybe not so much. Okay, we'll see how all that works out. Thank you for spending your time with me, and I hope you come back next time for another review of Married at First Sight. Bye.